Hello, everyone from Boost Your Immunity Now. It's Cindy Marshall here to get you even more excited about fermented foods. Yesterday, you heard about apple cider vinegar and how easy it is to incorporate that into your life. And today, I am going to share with you some other fermented foods. And then I'm going to tell you why you want to include fermented foods, especially during these COVID times, but really just always. So apple cider vinegar is my first one. I have a little cheat sheet here that I'm going to be looking at. Sauerkraut. If you have not um, found the whole rage of sauerkraut yet, you should. It's incredible. Kimchi, super good. Microalgae. This is something that not a lot of people have heard about, but you have probably heard about spirulina, maybe, or chlorella. And so those two things you can throw into your smoothie. I do. I throw both of those into my smoothie, and that is a fermented food. Natto, N-A-T-T-O, that is fermented soybeans. And you can get those at your local health food stores or order them online. Miso, again, another fermented soy product. Sourdough fermented bread. Oh, that's kind of fun. You can make your own. I have a friend who's doing a fermented rye right now, which sounds so yummy. And actually, it is yummy. I did try it. She brought me over some, and I wanna make that recipe at some point. Tempeh, another fermented soybean. All of these are absolutely delicious in sandwiches and on the side. So if you're already eating your dinner, you can throw a side sauerkraut on the side. And that's what Jana shared with us in this group, and her video is posted. Don't oversalt yours like I did mine. Fermented veggies, there's so many things you can do there, and there's all kinds of veggies that are incredible for fermenting. And in Jana's video, she talks about fermenting, or you'll actually see me fermenting cauliflower because of her suggestion, as well as the cabbage. Brine cured pickles. So those are fermented in a salt brine. You don't refrigerate those. Those are kind of different maybe than you are used to having, but all you have to do is type in brine cured pickle recipe online and you can make your own there. Kombucha, which I have experimented on and off over the years. I do find that I have trouble um, fermenting out the sugar, and it's just a little too sugary for me, but maybe you have had better luck, or you could buy a store-bought one. Just check out, make sure that it has low sugar. Coconut kefir. So that's coconut water, which has been fermented with kefir grains. And that is something you can buy or make as well. And then kefir, which which I just kind of mentioned earlier. So that's a fermented dairy beverage. So that is, you can stop right there. And if you just know already about the amazing benefits of fermented food, but I'm going to talk a little bit about the immune system and the lines of defense and why eating more fermented foods could be super beneficial to you. So I'm going to try to do this really quickly. The immune system, it can get really complicated really quickly when we start talking about the scientific aspect of the immune system. And I'm going to try to keep this as simple as I can for you, just as I would want it to be for me. I was not one of those straight A students in science. So I'll try to keep this really simple. The immune system includes 3 lines of defense against foreign invaders. So you have your physical and your chemical barriers. I'm going to talk a little bit briefly about both of those, but those are considered functions of the innate immune system, the innate immunity defense mechanisms. So those are what are activated immediately or within the hour or couple hours of an antigen's invasion of the body. So always think innate is kind of your body's way of like attack, okay? This is present at birth, it's passed down to you. That's why they say innate. It's passed down to you from ancestors, and it activates when the immune system recognizes chemical properties of the antigens. So I said to you earlier, there's physical and chemical barriers, right? So let's talk about physical barriers. These include your skin, your mucous membranes, your hair in your nostrils, your hair in your body, your cilia, your urine, and defecation and vomiting. So this is why it's so important to wash your hands right now, right? Skin. There's a thick layer of dead cells in the epidermis layer of your skin, which provides a physical barrier to viruses, bacteria, and microbes. And as your epidermis sheds, then those microbes are removed. And that's why dry brushing, if you have a dry brush or even just a rough washcloth, that can be really helpful for shedding those. I have two dry brush heads, and so simultaneously I can rub over an area of my body. I just recently got those at the recommendation of a friend. But you want to really make sure you're kind of scrubbing pretty hard when you're in the shower too. If you only have a washcloth, I like to use this sort of coarse fabric for my. I got it in Chinatown. It's one of the best. I always, whenever I'm in Chinatown in any state, I always get some more of these washcloths. Okay, so that was the first one, skin, and we're talking about the physical barriers, mucous membranes, and hair. So I'm going to just hit both of these. So hair within the nose filters microbes. It also filters dust and pollutants from the air and prevents them from invading your body. And that's why I do sometimes trim my nostril hair, but never too short because I want those in there. It's also why I use the Ayurvedic practice of um, oil, oiling, oiling my nostrils. So I take, there's different kinds of oils that you can use. I mean, you can just use straight coconut oil, you can use olive oil, you can use, there's lots of different oils you can use that are good for the skin, almond oil. But I use the Banyan Botanicals brand of they call it Nasya oil, Nasya, but I oil my nostrils every day. And that's going to help further those microbes, dust, and pollutants grab onto the oil and prevent them from invading my body. I also rub my whole body down with oil, which is also going to provide another layer of defense. And let's see, mucous membranes, and this is why we're talking about mucous membranes. It says mucous membranes produce mucus to trap microbes so they cannot spread to the rest of the body. That's why we blow our nose and not sniff it in and swallow it. We want to blow those out. Okay, cilia is another physical barrier. So your cilia lines the upper respiratory tract and it traps and propels inhaled debris to the throat so it can exit from the body. So never, it's really important to never stop your body's natural reactions to things. So holding in farts, keeping like holding in, like holding your pee instead of going to the bathroom, holding your bowel movement, not suppressing a cough, suppressing a sneeze. So of course we don't want to cough around people right now, but what I do if I have to cough and I'm in public, I literally take this hand and I press my elbow really hard into my, and I cough into that. And of course, I'll probably always already be wearing a mask, but you don't want to suppress any of your body's natural responses, okay? Especially not right now. So another thing you can do to help your cilia is a steamy water, like boil some water, put a steamy towel over and breathe that in. That's gonna help hydrate that cilia too and help loosen anything that's on there. Hot showers and blowing your nose a bunch in the shower and really clearing your channels, your mucous membranes is really good. If you have a sauna, I don't, but if you have access to one. And then eliminating excessive mucus forming foods like cheese and dairy is what I'm doing now. You do it, you do you, but that's just what I'm doing. But I have a lot of kind of allergies and I tend to get mucusy. So I don't like having to clear my throat all day, which happens to me, especially after eating, if I'm eating a lot of dairy. So another physical barrier that we're going to talk about is urine. So urine flushes out your microbes out of your body through your urethra. And that's why it's so important to drink tons of water right now. It's going to help you flush your body and hydrate your body. Defecation and vomiting, those are pretty self-explanatory. The body's expelling microorganisms via bowel movements and vomit. So water, water, water. We want to have bowel movements every single day. We don't want to carry around yesterday's feces. So drinking warm water until you have a bowel movement in the morning, drinking warm water with lemon and apple cider vinegar, even better, until you have a bowel movement in the morning. And then just really ramping up on your alkalinizing veggies, fruit, fiber, right? Beans, they are the magical fruit. So I talked about this very first thing of the first line of defense for your immune system is the physical and chemical barriers. So we just talked about the physical. Now I'm going to talk about the chemical barriers. So the chemical barriers form another line of defense against invaders. And these are things, I'm just going to whip through these. But lysozyme, it's an enzyme produced in tears, sweat, and saliva. So every time you're exercising, you're detoxing. Every time you're crying and expressing emotion that way, or laughing so hard that you cry, you're expressing emotion, and then that is producing tears, sweat, saliva, and it's breaking down the cell walls, and it acts as an antibiotic by killing bacteria. Lysozyme, Lysozym. So I'm learning right along with you guys. Gastric juice, and that's acids in the stomach destroy bacteria and toxins. Another reason to eat fermented foods. Feed that microbiome. Okay, saliva, it dilutes the number of microorganisms in the body and washes the teeth and mouth. So again, more water equals producing more saliva equals more flushing and more detoxing. Acidity, so your skin acidity, you actually have acidity on your skin that inhibits bacterial growth. That's comforting to know. Sebum, which is unhealthy fatty acids, they provide a protective film on the skin and inhibit growth. That's why overshowering sometimes can be bad, because you're breaking down those protective films on your skin. And then hyaluronic acid, HYALURONIC. It's a gelatinous substance, and it slows the spread of microorganisms that can spread harm to the body. Don't know a lot about that one, so I can't even comment on it. So all of that was the first line of defense. So if this is a crazy amount of information, don't worry. But if you're really interested in science and you'd like to know how our bodies work, it can be kind of interesting. So the second line of defense is your non-specific resistance. It's also part of your innate immunity, which you were born with. And they just basically, this line of defense destroys invaders in a general way and does not target specific antigens. So phagocytes, PHAGOCYTES, they're cells that ingest and destroy microbes that pass into body tissues. Inflammation, we all know that one, is a localized response in the tissue that occurs when tissues are damaged or in a response to other stimuli, and it occurs when white blood cells flood an area of invasion by microbes. So, of course, swelling, redness, pain, all of that stuff, heat happens. And then fever, which is another thing we don't want to suppress right now. We don't want to suppress fevers, especially if low-grade fevers, because they're inhibiting bacterial growth and they're increasing the rate of tissue repair when an infection is present in the body. So those were 1 and 2. And then the final line of defense is called specific resistance. And this, unlike the other two, this is a component of your acquired immunity, or sometimes it's called your adaptive immunity. So it's not present at birth, it's learned. And basically the immune system encounters antigens, and the acquired immunities components learn how to attack each antigen. So it's a learning, your body has to learn how to attack each antigen and develop a memory for it. Specific immunity tailors attacks to specific antigens because it learns, adapts, and remembers them. So these are all the T cells, B cells, white blood cells that we've talked about in the last Boost Your Immunity Now workshop. So your lymphocytes. So lots to learn. It's exciting, right? But All of that you don't even really need to know. All you need to know is to include fermented foods every single day in your diet if you want to come kind of swinging at COVID-19 with a more readily prepared body. All right, talk to you soon. Bye.